Hey again, Booktube. So today I thought that I would do a video talking about some of my personal favourite books so that you can get to know me a bit through my reading tastes. Shall we begin? I think we shall. First of all is 1984 by George Orwell. Classic dystopian fiction novel written in 1948. So just after the Second World War. Really love things that are post-war written. George Orwell's style of writing I really enjoy, kind of matter of fact, kind of straight to the point, very not flowery. I don't know if this is maybe the worst dystopian world for me. I don't know, one of them. But yes, I think everyone should read this book, or at least something by Orwell. I think he's amazing. His essays are really good. I especially love one called Books and Cigarettes, about him working in a bookshop, because I personally have worked in a bookshop. But yes, 1984 by George Orwell, one of my top favourite books of all time. Another one that I usually tell people is one of my favourite books is The End of the Affair by Greene. I say something weird about this. I kind of think that this is the English equivalent of The Great Gatsby. I'm not a big fan of The Great Gatsby, but for some reason I adore this, and it's about a very cynical writer called Maurice Bendrix that has previously, 2 years previous, had an affair with this woman called Sarah, who is married, but she kind of breaks it off for no apparent reason, and it's about his kind of bitterness surrounding his kind of wasted love for this woman. And it's so poignantly written, so cynical that it's beautiful, and I would highly recommend anyone. It's very short, so it won't take that long. Very beautiful if you're into that kind of thing. Another one that I usually say is one of my favourite books is The Picture of Dorian Gray by Oscar Wilde. This is a fantastic cover, it's my favourite one. I read this when I was about 17, I think, the first time. And it's just so beautifully written, so witty. Oscar Wilde was a genius in my opinion. Completely opposite, arguably, it's a style of writing to Orwell, but equally kind of social criticism in a certain way, kind of tongue-in-cheek, and it's just wonderful. Read it. Another more modern one that I love is Ready Player One by Ernest Cline. I only read this about a year ago, I think, and it was amazing. I could not put it down. It is set in 2040-ish, in a kind of dystopian world where virtual reality is the norm, and people, more likely than not, live out their lives through the Oasis, which is the virtual reality platform. You can go to school in it, you can go to work in it, you can just game in it, and it's just a really cool universe. I think, even though it's this arguably a dystopian fiction, I think this would probably be one of the places where I would love to go, and hopefully I might be able to try something like this in the future. They call it Willy Wonka meets the Matrix, and I think that's a very interesting but accurate description, actually. So if you like gaming, or if you're into 80s pop culture references, or are remotely geeky or into computers in any way, then you should totally read this book because it is amazing. Another one I read recently is The Letter for the King by Tonke Dragt. This is a children's book about 9 to 12, similar age to Harry Potter. It's a kind of knightly adventure from a young knight, or to-be knight, and he has to deliver a letter that he doesn't know what it contains, and it's about his adventure across the land, being pursued by people he don't know, for a reason that he doesn't know either, and it's very interesting. It's been around for a while in Dutch, but it's recently been translated just this last year into English by Pushkin Press, because they're into like translating things into English. And yes, very good. If you want to kind of adventure read and want to feel like a kid and be really excited about something, I would totally recommend The Letter for the King. Another classic that I adore is Frankenstein by Mary Shelley. I'm really into the romantic period. I love romantic poetry. Arguably the beginning of science fiction, started by a woman. It's really clever how it's written in letters and articles and disjointed speeches from different characters, because it really mirrors Frankenstein's monster himself. made up of all these kind of different pieces of different human flesh. Very inspired by Paradise Lost, like a lot of romantic poetry is, and I love Paradise Lost. If you haven't read that as well, Paradise Lost is a really good verse poem to read. Pretty epic, but wonderful all the same. But yes, Frankenstein, Mary Shelley. One of my favourite ones that I only shamefully read recently is The Book Thief by Markus Zuzak. Modern masterpiece in most people's opinion, and I do not disagree. This is just, it's amazing. It's so beautiful, so poignant, so clever. It's narrated by Death. It's set during World War II. Yeah, I think it's very uniquely written. It's also got the odd illustration in there as well, which is quite rare, and I just think this is a beautiful book. If you haven't not read it, please give it a chance. I put it off for so long and I regret that because it is amazing. So The Book Thief, read it. One that I always remember from my childhood is Enchanted by Gail, Carson, Levine, or Levine, whatever one is right. And this is like a fairy tale retelling of Cinderella. There was a film made of it with Anne Hathaway, which is equally a good film, but I personally don't think it's as good as the book. Just a lot more that happens, basically. I love Ella as a character. I think she's so cool. Like a really good role model, I think, trying to be less obedient. Ella Enchanted, if you're feeling like you're up for a fairy tale-ish book, then I would totally recommend this. Two more books. Another one set in post-World War II is The Reader. This is the movie cover by Bernard Schlink. It was originally written in German. I read the translated English because I can't read German, and I personally thought the translation was wonderful. I thought it was so well written. That's kind of half the reason I really like it. It's not even the original language and it's good, so it must be good. So yes, The Reader by Bernard Schlink, amazing book. Very thought-provoking in a way as well. I really like post-war books, I don't know. Something I like. Finally, a bit of medieval literature, an anthology of all the poems by the Gawain-Poet. I've only actually read two of them. I've read Sir Gawain the Green Knight and Pearl. Pearl is amazing. It's a kind of Christian dream vision from the 14th century. Just beautifully written. I mean, if you wanted to read this and you didn't really feel like you're up for reading Middle English, there's lots of modern translations or kind of half modern translations. Yeah, so if you're feeling up for reading something that was written before the printing age, then I would highly recommend anything by the Gawain-Poet or Pearl Poet, whatever they deem him. And that is it. Obviously, as you can see by my hoodie and my tattoo, I love Harry Potter. Harry Potter is my first love in fiction, and it will always be and always hold a special place in my heart. But I tried not to mention it too much here because it's kind of a given now with Booktube. Harry Potter equals awesome. But yeah, that was a few of my favourite books. I hope you enjoyed the video. I hope you like getting to know a few of my favourite books more. Yeah, I'm sure the list will grow ever more. But yeah, I'll see you in the next one. Bye!